Maurice's failed attempt to change the power dynamics between himself and Melody Cherie, and Marquez is letting it be known he wants to go out on a date. Get into my Love and Marriage Huntsville episode 11 recap. This is the fly on. Let's get into it. So the episode starts with Nell and Chris out for lunch, and Nell is visibly uneasy about Chris's role with Trisha and Martell's hookup. Chris tells the same story that he told the ladies the night before, the day at the open house, but this time we get a little bit more information. He lets it be known that Martell was looking Trish up while they were on the phone. He said he didn't know Trisha's first name, but he knew her last name. But then I'm kind of concerned because my radar is up because you basically didn't know she was married. Of course, she's related to someone on your mother's side, but I don't know if she goes by her maiden name. Nevertheless, Nell Fletcher is like, we mentor them trying to get them back together. And, you doing something like that, it doesn't look good. It comes across as a conflict of interest. And what kind of person are you? You're mentoring somebody. You're trying to help them save their marriage, but then yet you're indulging in them wanting to know about other women. Like, I don't get it. But Chris assures Nell that Martell and Mel were not together when this happened. Nell then brings up the fact that she wants to have a conversation with Melody in regards to the mentor conversation, and she feels Melody downplayed the relationship, and the way that Nell was there for her was sometimes she would even leave her own sick mother to try to tend to Martell and Melody's ongoing issues. And, her feelings are hurt, and she has every right to feel that way. So, yes, we have Maurice and meeting up with Mel. He invites her down to the Credit One office. I wonder if that's the same office that, old girl from the expose that Martell and Arion did. Is that the same office that they hooked up in? Nevertheless, I think this is a power dynamic. This is a power move. Maurice is trying to bring Mel to his corner of the world where he feels comfortable and he has the advantage because it's on his home turf, so to speak. So, Mel basically is looking around the office. She says it looks amazing. She has not been there in years. I have to be honest. I don't know when the last time Mel and Maurice have had a one-on-one meeting. They don't meet at all. So Maurice sits her down, and they did exchange pleasantries. They actually hug, and so he sits her down, and he's like, "We have some issues to resolve. It's been brought to my attention that you've been going around disparaging my character." And Melody's response is, "You've done that on your own." And he's looking like he's like a little bit gagged and gooped by it. But yeah, you get a DUI. What more disparaging can you get at this point? Your wife was sick with cancer, and you said she needed to roll over and take it. You made jokes about your wife not having any hair. You disparage your character on your own. So he then asks Melody if her statements regarding the DUI, is it for get back for anything that he may have done to her, or is she trying to have a moment? And I'm kind of wondering if there's anything that Melody would need to get back at Maurice for, because again, I don't really remember her and Maurice really having much interactions. And just let me know in the comment section if that is the case. Melody is like, I don't have anything on, that I need to get back at you at. And then Maurice is like, Well, Melody, your introduction to the world is based on you getting cheated on and embarrassed by Martell. And I was like, well, damn. Then Melody quickly, corrects Maurice, saying that's not her introduction to the platform. It was being an amazing mother, wife, and most importantly, an entrepreneur. I was like, well, that is a fact because that was the premise on the show. Now, Maurice is questioning her about all of the stuff that she went through with Martell. And I'm like wondering, like, why are you even bringing that up? So Mel asks, like, why are you asking me about all of this? And what does this have to do with why we're here and why we're talking? And he says, it's a lot. And he goes on to say, it seems like you minimize your pain and your embarrassment. What? Like, what is she supposed to do about being embarrassed by Martell from 5 years ago? Like, is he like trying to get his degree in psychiatry? Is he trying to become a therapist next? Like, what is going on here? He thinks he's equipped to diagnose somebody? Like, what is happening here? So I'm like, you're not qualified to make that assessment. You can't even determine whether you're in a good enough place to get behind the wheel or not after being inebriated. So I'm very confused. So Maurice goes on to say that hurt people, and he feels as though Mel is not happy. And Mel says immediately, I haven't sat down with you in years, and you don't know what's going on with me to even make that assessment that if I'm happy or if I'm hurt. Melody says, you're used to Melody Holt, but you ain't met Melody Shari. And I was like, clock it. He says, you're projecting. And she says, projecting what? And he can't answer the question. So he switches gears and says, well, have I done anything to contribute to your unhappiness? And Melody quickly says, I am not unhappy. He then switches gears again, and then he says, have I done anything to you in the past? And she says, yes, you have. You would be making jokes and smiling about stuff that wasn't funny to me at the time when I was going through things with Martell. And he said, you know what? I apologize for that. And Melody quickly says, I apologize. I accept your apology. And she says, since we're in the spirit of apologizing, if I've done anything to prick your heart or to make you feel uncomfortable or any type of way, I want to offer an apology. And how do you think Mel handled this dynamic? I think she handled it really with a lot of grace. I think she handled it well. She totally diffused the situation. Whatever game plan Maurice was going in with, she totally disarmed it, and she shifted the power dynamic back into her favor. So I believe Maurice wanted to call this meeting on his turf at his office because he wanted the opportunity to check Melody. Kimmy was unsuccessful. She couldn't report back that she went in and did whatever. She was unsuccessful. He went to Martell thinking that maybe he would, come along and go in and drag Mel and all of that and try to embarrass her. That was unsuccessful. He lost his cool at the kids' graduation and was using dog whistles saying that Mel was attacking him. So he wanted to come into this arena with his suit in his office trying to lay the groundwork like, yeah, I'm going to put you in your place, and I'm going to let you know what's wrong with you. As you don't have the credentials to therapize anybody. So I think Mel handled this situation as best as she could. Maurice accepted the apology, and the scene is over. Tell me how you feel about it, guys. So the next scene, we have Fletcher and Marsau. They decide to meet up with Marquez because he's still in town. They discuss, how did he feel about the graduation? Marquez said he found out about the graduation at the graduation party, at the last minute. And he said he didn't know it was going to be at their house. And he also stated to them that one of the worst fears is seeing another man come in and taking care of his family. But again, I do not feel sorry for Marquez. I like to call right is right, wrong is wrong. You left your family. You don't think Trisha has a right to move on with her life when you decided to leave? So, Marsau says, he's basically starting to call Marquez out because I think he's tired of Marquez's BS. So Marsau says, he notices that Marquez allows his emotions to run his life. And he says, it's okay for men to have emotions for sure, but when you allow your emotions to totally rule you, that's when things can get detrimental to you. And I do have to agree, men or women, if you allow your emotions to rule you all the time, nothing really good comes of that in all. So as they're sitting down, here go Marquez again, looking for advice from these two guys. And I'm like, Marquez, you need to go hit up Dr. Francis. Where is Dr. Francis? That's what we want to know. So he, basically talking about, the whole dynamic with Ken and all of this stuff. But again, you left your family. So Chris asks him, well, Ken is not going nowhere. So from what it looks like, so you're gonna have to change with how you're triggered and how you deal with things and how you're gonna cope with that. He was like, well, my plans are I'm just going to move back to Huntsville and just try to move forward, which is really not a plan. I think, to a certain degree, he likes to be in Atlanta because he doesn't have to really see that dynamic often. But if you want to have those relationships with your children, especially your young daughter, you're going to have to get tunnel vision and not even concern yourself with Ken. So Marquez, he kind of switches gears and says to Marsau, yeah, like Melody was looking real good. Do you think Martell would have a problem if I push up on Melody? And Marsau just kind of looked at him and he was like, well, they're not together. And I mean, they haven't been together for 5 years. However, Marsau, he did ask Marsau, can he hook that up? And Marsau kind of just looked at him. Marsau is not finna try to hook you up with Melody. Okay? That is, Marsau is not letting you get in 50 feet of Melody. Period, point blank. Okay? And why do you think that is, guys? Please put it down in the comment section. So then Marsau quickly switches gears. He was like, they're not married anymore, but you are. So what's going on with your situation? And I was like, I like how Marsau switched that up. And he was like, are you still in love with Trisha? Like, what is going on with y'all? He was like, I love Trisha, but I'm not in love with her. And Marsau says, so what do you want from all of this? Like, are you going forward with the divorce? Like, what do you want from all this? And Marsau was sick of it. He just called him out. He said, you know what? You seem like a guy that left his family. You thought it was just going to be a break and you were going to come back and pick up the pieces with your family. It looks like that's just what happened. But now Ken is in the picture and you salty about that. He was like, oh, you don't know the intricacies and all the stuff that happened prior to that and this, that, and third. No, my guy, it doesn't matter. You still left though. Whatever is happening, you still left. You left the door open for another man to walk in, and your greatest fear, as you said, has now been realized. Somebody else is there, and they're picking up the pieces. And Marquez says to Martell, you're not empathetic. I just feel like Chris is more empathetic. And they kind of just looking at him like, sir, you need to just sign a divorce and focus on your family. Trisha has moved on. Stop playing games. You took a break and you thought you were going to be able to come back and pick up the pieces, and that wasn't the case. And I think, again, this is a lesson for men and women. Don't play games with your marriage and your relationship. If you leave somebody, time doesn't stop because you left them. Time still moves and goes on, and what you don't want to deal with, that might be something very well that someone else wants to have. So don't play that game. So after Marquez seen that he wasn't going to get no sympathy from Marsau, and Chris was like basically in agreement with everything that Marsau was saying because his tea got clocked, Marquez abruptly ends the lunch because Marsau and Chris has clocked his tea, and he said, I'm going to go visit the kids. I told them I was coming. I'm going to spend time with the kids. And again, Chris reconfirms in his confessional that Marsau was dead right. He was correct about everything when it comes to Marquez. Marquez has nobody to blame but himself. He removed himself from his family. And then Trisha has all the right to move on from Marquez. You can't be upset that somebody moved on after you chose to leave. So Marquez says he's going to go visit the kids, and that little meeting was over. So now we are at Melody's event, Mimosas with Melody, and we have Nell and Chris, Kimmy, Maurice, Marsau. Tisha was not there. Ken and Trisha. Tell me what you thought about Trisha's dress. To me, Trisha was not dressed appropriately for the event. Everybody else had on like gowns and looked really classy. Trisha looked like she was going to, I don't know where, but she just totally looked inappropriate in my opinion. And Trisha's like, I was invited to the event, but after me and Melody's last interaction talking about at the graduation party, I feel awkward. I don't feel like I should be here. So why show up? Why you being phony, girl? What you over there being messy for? If you don't want to be there, why show up and be phony and carry on like that? So I believe this is the first time the men are actually attending the Mimosas with Melody event. Also, Sonny was there as well. And Marquez shows up. And Marquez, he shows up, and I'll get into that later. But as Marsau and Maurice are sitting down, they're saying, this event reminds me of the Black Expo. This is giving the Black Expo. So, they show some clips, from the event and stuff like that. So when the event is almost over, Melody, Marsau, Marquez, and Sonny, they're kind of like behind the scenes and they're just talking. She's greeting Sonny. Marquez lets Melody know that he brought flowers for her, and Melody tells him to give it to her mom. Marsau, is basically just looking like, what, this dude trying to infiltrate? What's going on? And, Marquez is basically stating that he is looking for a way that he can add value to Melody's life. And basically, Melody says her feet hurt, and he's like, can I rub your feet? And then he proceeds to shoot his shot. And she was like, first of all, I wouldn't date anybody in this friend group. And Marsau was like, well, he's not in the friend group. And she was like, he's not single either. And he was like, well, he's getting the divorce. She said, Marquez is taking a page out of your book, married but act single. And he ain't do nothing but laugh at that. Marsau couldn't do nothing but laugh and get his T-clock. He ain't even deny it. So, Melody points out again, like, you're married. I wouldn't date anybody in a friend group. When Marquez was like, I just want to add value to your life. And she was like, well, you can email my team and let my team know how you can add value. I was weak as hell. So then she goes, she has a little, small talk with Sonny. Then they go back out to the main floor where everybody else is at, and she's greeting everybody and thanking them for coming. And then, also Melody asks, and then Trisha hugs Melody as well, as Melody's making her rounds and greeting everybody. And they ask, like, where's Moses? And Sonny lets it be known that, Moses had a probationary issue and he's incarcerated. And Melody, immediately offers, her sympathies to her on that. And then that is basically it for that part of the episode. So then, no, I forgot. So then the next part is they have Trish and Ken, Maurice and Kimmy, while prior to that, when Mel and them were in the back, talking behind the scenes, Ken Marquez came over to their table and was speaking to them. Trisha was like completely ignoring him, being so freaking rude. But Marquez, made his presence known. And Ken then decides to take a jab saying, I'm trying to send his kids money right now. while he over here doing whatever. And I'm just like, why is that even necessary? Like, I just feel like when the kids see this stuff, like how it seems like they're always bringing up Marquez and throwing Marquez up under the bus. When the kids see that stuff, that's going to be a problem. So, and that basically brings that part to an end. So now we have Nell and Fletcher. They're getting ready for their 30-year vow renewal. And Nell is going bridal dress shopping. She didn't have, like, I guess, the extravagant wedding that she wanted to, but they're going to do it at this 30-year vow renewal. And she's there with her daughter and her niece. Nell is very excited and giddy. And Nell got body, honey. And she picked out this dress that she had tried on. Nell looked absolutely stunning. She looked really, really beautiful. She invited Melody to come. And when Melody sees her, they embrace. She compliments her. And she's like, she looked absolutely beautiful. And you could tell they had a friendship. They definitely did have a friendship. So, Nell says, I wanted you to be here because you're someone I hold dear. You're not an associate. You are a friend. And she said, the last time we spoke, I left feeling unhappy. And I wanted to call you and reach out, but every time I thought about it, I just couldn't bring myself to do it, and I just shut down. So, Nell tells Melody how she feels. She said, it felt like you discredited, and downplayed what I was doing for you and Martell. I know the words mentor or venting or whatever it was, but it just felt like at the end of the day, you discredited what I did and how I showed up for you as being a friend. And it was a very mature conversation. I wish Nell would lead with how she feels and not shut down all the time, because I felt like it got resolved quickly. And, Melody said, had you would have talked to me weeks ago, I would have gave you an apology weeks ago. Melody just said, you know what? I'm sorry. Now, Melody did try to kind of defend it a little bit, but, I think she saw how genuinely hurt Nell was about it, and I think she decided that it was in her best interest to just let it go. She issued Nell an apology. They hugged it out, and they're moving forward, it seems like. So, guys, I really appreciate the support that I've been getting. Please do not forget to like, subscribe, comment with me. As you can see, I do engage with people that comment, and let's just be respectful of one another's opinions. And until the next episode, Auntie loves you. Bye-bye. New Year, you and the nurse will attest to this. What's up with your annual checkup? What's up with your health? What's up with them labs? Come on. I don't hear y'all, especially to my men, because you guys are known statistically for not going to the doctor, okay? Please put your annual health checkup on your list. Some companies, they offer like free blood work. That you can actually get once a year. And some of them have reward programs. Like if you go and get your blood work, they'll give you $50 to $75. And yes, blood work is expensive, $400. So if your company offers that, take advantage of it and get your annual checkup.